Josh lived on the edge of a small farming colony on planet Alien 9. His house was quiet, simple, and surrounded by tall grass that danced in the morning wind. Every day felt the same. Wake up, fix machines. Eat alone, sleep. But one morning changed. Everything. It started with a sound. Not loud, not normal, like a soft, wet cough mixed with a tiny cry. Josh froze at the back door. The sound came again. It was coming from the backyard. He grabbed his jacket and stepped outside. The grass was wet with morning dew. Birds flew overhead. But the sound was still there, closer now. His boots crushed the grass as he walked carefully, and then he saw it. There, hidden under a torn gray blanket, was something small. A bundle. It moved slightly, and then a tiny hand pushed through. Not a normal hand. It had 4 fingers, thin, glowing faint blue. Josh's heart raced. He knelt down slowly and pulled the blanket back. A baby, but not a human baby. Its skin was pale silver. Its eyes were wide and glowing with soft blue. Light. It had thin, fine hair, almost white. The baby looked up at him without fear, only sadness. It wasn't crying now, just staring. Josh looked around the field. "Hello?" he called. "Anyone out there?" No one answered. No footsteps, no movement, just the wind. There was no note, no message, nothing, just this baby. Josh didn't know what to do, but one thing was clear: he couldn't leave her here. He picked her up gently. The baby didn't resist. She rested her head on his chest like she knew him, like she had waited for him. Back inside, Josh laid her on a blanket near the heater. He brought water, but the baby didn't want it. She closed her eyes and slept for hours. Josh sat nearby, confused and scared. What if someone was watching? What if this baby was dangerous? But deep inside, he didn't feel fear. He felt something else, protection. Like this child was his responsibility now. That night, Josh couldn't sleep. He kept checking on the baby. At one point, the power flickered. The lights dimmed. He checked the fuse box. Nothing was wrong. When he returned, he saw something strange. The baby's hands were glowing, and the heater beside her turned off by itself. Then her glow faded. She slept again. Josh knew this child. Wasn't ordinary. He named her Lyra. He didn't know why. The name just felt right. Days passed. No one came looking. No messages were broadcasted. But Josh noticed something in the sky. Small flashes of light high up, too far to be planes. At night, strange shadows sometimes passed over his house. Silent, fast, watching. Still, no one came for the baby. Josh made her a small bed from soft towels and old blankets. He fed her with milk and soft fruits. She smiled when he made silly sounds. She held his finger tightly. Her eyes followed him wherever he went. He should have told someone, a doctor, the colony chief. But he didn't. Something in his heart said don't. He listened to that voice. Then one evening, Josh stood in the yard, looking at the stars. He whispered, "Where are you? Why did you leave her?" His voice trembled. "And why do I feel like she was meant for me?" Suddenly, the wind picked up. He turned around quickly, thinking someone was there. But no, just shadows. The baby was still inside, sleeping. Josh didn't know it yet, but his life had changed forever. And somewhere, not far from the colony, a woman with glowing eyes watched from the dark hills. Her body was weak, her cloak torn. But she whispered through her tears, "Stay alive. Little one, until I return." She turned and disappeared into the night. Josh never saw her. Not yet. Asterisk raising a secret. Josh never planned to be a father, especially not to an alien child. But Lyra had become part of his life, like the sun that rose every morning or the wind that hummed through the tall grass. She wasn't just living with him. She was changing him. At first, everything felt like guesswork. Josh didn't know what she could eat or how fast she would grow. But Lyra seemed to understand him in ways no human baby ever could. She never cried for long. She never screamed. When Josh was sad or tired, she would crawl to him and rest her tiny glowing hand on his arm. Somehow, her touch brought peace. As days turned into weeks, strange things began to happen. The lights in Josh's home no longer needed switches. When Lyra was near, they turned on by themselves. His broken tools began to work again, even though he hadn't fixed them. One day, the old hover drone in his shed flew for the first time in years, even though the battery was dead. Josh didn't tell anyone. Not even his closest friend Mira, who worked at the colony market. He smiled when people asked how he was doing. He laughed when they asked if he'd ever settle down or raise a family. No one could know. Not yet. He had turned his small home into a safe place. Blackout curtains, hidden thermal blankets, no visitors. He built a secret chamber under the floor where Lyra could hide if needed. Something in his gut told him this peace wouldn't last. By month 3, Lyra was walking. Not clumsy, baby steps, but quick, balanced, alert. Her eyes were sharper now, and she would stop and stare at walls like she could see through them. She mimicked sounds perfectly. She spoke her first word not in English, but in a strange, melodic alien language Josh didn't understand. Her voice echoed like it came from a canyon. One night, she stood at the back window and whispered, "They're near." Josh froze. He stepped outside, flashlight in hand. The night was silent. No wind, no birds, just heavy stillness. Then he saw it. A shimmer in the trees, like something invisible had just moved. He aimed the light, but it showed nothing. Just empty branches. Still, his skin crawled. Back inside, Lyra was waiting by the door. Her small hand rested on the frame. She looked at him and said clearly, "Safe?" Josh nodded, though he wasn't sure anymore. From then on, Josh started writing everything down. Her changes, her words, her drawings, strange symbols that looked like stars and machines. He even kept track of the nights when the sky lit up with fast-moving lights that no one else in town talked about, as if only he could see them. Sometimes, he thought of telling the Interstellar Council, or at least reporting a found alien life form. But a voice in his heart kept whispering, "If you give her up, you'll never see her again." So, he didn't. Taught her to speak English. He showed her how to read. She was learning faster than any human child. She began fixing small tools in his workshop with just her touch. Her powers were growing. Josh could see it, and he knew others would too if they ever found her. Then, one afternoon, as the wind blew hot and strange, Lyra stood in the garden and pointed at the sky. "They're watching again," she said in a soft voice. Josh followed her gaze. 3 tiny black dots floated high above, too still to be birds, too silent to be drones. A chill ran down Josh's back. He pulled her inside and locked the doors. He didn't know who they were yet, but Lyra did, and soon they would come. The return. The storm rolled in without warning. No clouds had shown on the colony's weather scans. No one in the settlement expected thunder that night, but Josh felt it long before the first flash lit the sky. Lyra had been quiet all day, too quiet. She stood near the door, eyes wide, body still. She was waiting for something. Josh tried to stay calm. "It's just a storm," he said, though even he didn't believe it. Then came the knock. 3 soft taps. Josh's breath caught in his throat. No one ever visited him, especially during a storm. He picked up a wrench from the table and stepped toward the door. Lyra didn't move. Her glowing eyes locked onto the door, unblinking. He opened it slowly, and there she was, soaked, shaking, barely able to stand, the alien woman. The same one Josh had imagined 100 times. The one he believed had vanished forever. Her silver skin was bruised, her once smooth armor now torn and scratched. Her eyes, the same glowing blue as Lyra's, were filled with fear and pain. She looked at Josh, lips trembling, and whispered just one sentence, "They're coming." Then she collapsed into his arms. Josh caught her before she hit the floor. Her body was light, too light. She looked like she hadn't eaten in weeks. Her breath was shallow. Her heart beat fast and uneven. Josh didn't ask questions. He lifted her gently and carried her to the couch. Lyra followed in silence. The woman opened her eyes once more and looked at the child. Her voice was almost too soft to hear. "My daughter. You kept her safe." Then she slipped into unconsciousness. Josh stared at her, shocked. After a whole year, after silence, mystery, and watching the skies, she was here again. But why now? And what did she mean by their coming? He checked her wounds. No blood, not human blood, at least. But long, deep cuts. Some looked like burns. Others like claw marks. Whoever she'd escaped from had done everything to break her. He wrapped her in blankets, then turned to Lyra. "Do you know her?" Lyra nodded slowly. "She is my mother. Her name is Vela." Josh felt a wave of confusion and anger. "Why? Did she leave you?" Lyra didn't answer. She just stared out the window again. "They're close now," she said softly. "Very close." Suddenly, a deep hum filled the air. Low, constant, like the sound of a machine coming to life. Josh rushed to the back door. Far off in the distance, through sheets of rain, a strange black shape hovered just above the tree line. No engines. No lights. Just floating. Watching. Josh slammed the door shut and pulled the curtains. Vela stirred on the couch. "Don't let them take her," she muttered. "They want her erased, not saved." Josh's heart pounded. "Erased?" "She's different," Vela said weakly. "She was never meant to exist. She's the first of her kind. If they find her, they'll destroy her." Josh looked at Lyra, then at the woman. Everything suddenly made sense. The powers, the silence, the way Lyra always knew things before they happened. She wasn't just an alien child. She was something new, something dangerous to those in power. And now the hunters had returned. Josh had no weapons, no plan, no help. Just an old house, a hurt mother, and a glowing child he had grown to love like his own. But one thing was certain. He would not give her up, no matter who or what came through that door next. The truth revealed the storm had passed, but the fear remained. The rain had stopped, yet the ground felt like it was holding its breath. Josh sat in silence beside Vela, the alien woman who now lay resting under heavy blankets. Lyra sat at her feet, eyes never blinking, watching her mother like she feared she would vanish again. Then Vela opened her eyes. Josh leaned closer. "You need to tell me everything, now." Vela didn't answer right away. She reached for Lyra's hand and held it tight. Her voice, when it came, was raw and broken. "She was born between two worlds," she began. "My people and yours. She is not supposed to exist. That is her curse and her power." Josh frowned. "What do you mean?" Vela looked at him, pain in her eyes. "I was a scientist. I worked with a rebel faction trying to end the rule of the Xanthari Empire, a cruel force that controls half the galaxy. They destroy anything they cannot control. They especially fear hybrids." Josh's breath caught. "Hybrids, like Lyra?" "Yes," Vela whispered. "The Xanthari believe bloodlines should remain pure. They fear what mixed DNA can create. Lyra is proof they are wrong. She is strong, fast, intelligent, and she can connect with machines and minds in ways no Xanthri ever could. Josh looked at Lyra. She was still. Too still. Vela continued. When I realized I was pregnant, I ran. I had met a human, her father. He was brave. He died helping me escape. I had nowhere to go. So I came to this world. Your colony. I hid. Tears rolled down her cheek. But they found me. I had to run again. They were watching the skies. The roads, the scanners. I didn't want to leave her, but I had no choice. If they found her with me, she would have died. Josh clenched his fists. So you left her in my backyard and disappeared? I watched from far away. Every night, she said, her voice shaking. I saw you feed her, hold her, protect her. You gave her something I never could, peace. Josh looked away, swallowing hard. He remembered the nights he thought someone was out there, in the trees, watching. He thought it was his imagination. But it had been her, the child's real. Mother, I wanted to return sooner, Vela said, but the Xanthri were close. They sent hunters. Not machines, but living weapons. Creatures built for one task, to wipe out threats. Josh's mind flashed to the night Lyra said, they're watching. The shadows in the sky. The drones that didn't belong. It all made sense now. So what happens now? Josh asked. Vela looked at her daughter. Now they will come. In force. They know she's here, and they know she's growing. Lyra finally spoke. Her voice calm, too calm for a child. They want me gone. But I'm not afraid. Josh knelt beside her. You don't have to fight them alone. Vela shook her head. You don't understand. If they take her, they won't just kill her. They'll study her, break her, and erase every part of her from the universe. No one will know she ever lived. Josh felt a fire rise in his chest. Then we won't let them take her. Vela reached into her cloak and pulled out a small cube. It glowed faintly. This is the last piece of tech I stole from them. It hides signals. Scrambled scanners. We can use it to move, for now. Josh took it. Where would we go? Vela looked toward the mountains in the distance. There's an old station there, abandoned, forgotten. I used it once as a hideout. We'll make our stand there. Josh nodded. Then we move at sunrise. Outside, the stars blinked in the dark sky. But behind one star, something unnatural shifted, watching, waiting that the hunt had begun. Asterisk hunters from the sky, the morning was. Quiet too quiet. Even the birds that usually chirped at dawn were gone. The air was heavy, as if the world itself knew what was coming. Josh stood outside with a bag slung over his shoulder, eyes scanning the sky. Lyra held his hand tightly. Beside them, Vela leaned against the wall, still weak, but stronger than she had been. Her wounds had started to heal, glowing faintly where alien skin was stitching itself back together. But her eyes were sharp now, alert, focused. They had to move fast. The old station in the mountains was their only chance. It was a day's hike through the forest, up through a narrow pass. Josh knew the path well. It used to be a place colonists explored before it was declared off-limits. But to Vela, it was more than a ruin. It was a place that still held defenses, alien defenses she had once programmed herself. They left the house just as the sun began to rise. For hours, they walked in silence. The only sounds were leaves crunching and wind blowing through broken branches. Lyra didn't complain. She didn't cry. She walked like someone twice her age, alert and watchful. But the sky was never still. Above them, black shapes floated silently, like birds made of smoke and metal. Too high to see clearly. Too silent to be natural. Lyra would glance up now and then but say nothing. Then the first scream. Came not human not animal it tore through the forest like a blade of sound. Vela grabbed Lyra and pushed her behind a tree. They found us, she said. Josh looked up. One of the black shapes was dropping fast, no wings, no jets, just gravity and power. It landed in the clearing with a heavy thud. Trees shook. Birds fled. And then it stood. Not a machine. Not a person. A hunter. Its skin was dark silver, like armor, but alive. Its face had no mouth, just slits that opened and closed. Its arms were long, and its fingers had glowing tips that pulsed like fire. It turned its head slowly, scanning. Josh stepped forward without thinking, holding his wrench like a weapon, but Lyra walked past him. "Stop," she said, her voice strong. The hunter froze. Josh's heart pounded. "Lyra, no!" But she didn't. "Move back." The hunter tilted its head. It stepped closer, almost curious. Then it reached out, fast. Too fast. Before Josh could yell, Lyra raised her hand. The air shimmered. The hunter froze in place, trapped mid-step, like time had stopped. Its limbs twitched, its chest hummed. Then it crumbled to the ground with a crash, limbs stiff, eyes dead. Josh ran to her. "What did you do?" "I told it to sleep," Lyra said softly. "Forever." Vela stared in disbelief. "She's unlocking more power. Faster than I thought." Josh looked at the broken creature. "Will there be more?" Vela nodded. "That was just a scout. The real ones will follow." They kept moving. When they reached the edge of the mountain path, Josh saw an old metal door half buried in stone, vines crawling up the edges. Vela touched the side, and a rock slid away with a soft hum. Inside was darkness. Cold, silent, but safe. For now, as the door closed behind them, high above the forest, the rest of the hunters descended. A fleet of shadow ships hung in the clouds like spiders ready to strike. One of them sent a signal, not words, a warning. The hybrid is evolving. Eliminate all witnesses. Leave nothing behind. Inside the mountain, Lyra sat down and whispered. Something Josh didn't understand, a language that was not human, not alien, but something new. A spark lit in her hand. Josh felt it in his bones. She was more than just a child now. She was becoming something the galaxy had never seen. The galaxy would not forgive it. The choice, the mountain station, was cold, dark, and filled with dust, but it was safe for the moment. Josh lit old power lamps one by one, while Vela worked fast to reconnect broken panels and restart long-sleeping systems. The air was heavy with tension. Outside, the sky had turned red with sunset, but no one dared step beyond the stone walls. Not with hunters circling above like vultures. Lyra sat in the corner, her small hands glowing faintly. She wasn't scared. She was changing, and fast. Josh could see it now in her eyes. They shimmered not just with color, but with intelligence beyond her years. She no longer asked simple questions. She was reading complex alien codes, understanding machines by touching them, and sensing danger before it came. Josh felt both pride and fear. Vela looked up from her console. "We have one option," she said. "The jammer cube I gave you, it can block signals for 10 minutes. That's enough time to sneak Lyra out and hide her." Josh frowned. "And what about us?" Vela was quiet. Josh already knew the answer. The enemy didn't want a war. They wanted silence, to erase this girl's existence and the lives of anyone who knew her. That meant Josh and Vela. "They'll kill us," he said. Vela nodded. "They'll make it look like we never existed." Lyra stood now. "No," she said firmly. "I won't leave you." Josh knelt beside her. "Lyra, your life matters more than ours now. You are something new, something they fear." "But I'm not afraid of them," she replied. Her small hand reached out and touched his chest. I'm only afraid of being alone. Josh looked at Vela. What if we don't run? Vela's eyes narrowed. You mean fight? Josh nodded. We trap them. Here. Make them believe we're cornered. Then we use the jammer to shut down their scans. Hit them before they even know we're armed. Vela hesitated, then reached into her bag. I have 2 fusion grenades. Silent. No blast. Pure energy. If we place them in the tunnels, we can. Collapse the mountain if we have to. Lyra looked at them both and whispered, I can help. I can reach their minds. Josh blinked. What? I feel them even now. In the sky. Thinking. Planning. I can ... confuse them. Just for a little while. Vela looked stunned. You can already reach them? That's impossible. Not even full Xanthri can do that. She's not full anything, Josh said. She's something more. They worked quickly. Vela set traps in the tunnels. Josh rigged the entry to seal behind them. Lyra sat still, breathing deeply, her glowing eyes closed. Then the sky cracked open. A ship fell like a sword through the clouds, black, sharp, silent. It landed near the mountain base, kicking up dust. And fire. The door hissed open. 3 hunters stepped out, taller, heavier, smarter than the scout. They moved without sound, scanning with devices too advanced for any human system. But they didn't see what Lyra was doing. Inside, her body shimmered. Her mind stretched like a signal. A pulse of thought moved outward like a wave. The hunters stopped mid-step. One turned sharply and walked into the other. They looked around, confused. Their scans blinked with false data. Heat signatures vanished. Rock walls looked like open roads. One of them walked straight into a trap. The energy grenade lit the cave with a silent flash, one down. The others turned, but the mountain groaned as Josh slammed the door shut behind them. Vela triggered the second device. Stone crashed down, sealing the exit. The third hunter roared, a deep, machine-like sound that echoed even through walls. Then silence. Josh leaned back against the tunnel wall, gasping. Did we get them all? Vela nodded, sweating. For now? But more will come. Lyra stood in the center of the chamber. Her voice was calm. I saw their leader. He's angry. He's afraid of me. Josh placed his hand on her shoulder. Good, let him be afraid. Because now there was no turning back. They had made their choice. They would fight not for survival, but for the future of everything Lyra could become. *1 human. One mother, one future. Smoke still clung to the walls of the mountain station, and the echoes of the collapsed tunnels had faded into silence, but there was no time to rest. Above them, the sky was no longer just red, it was glowing orange, as if the stars themselves were warning them. Something massive was coming. Not scouts, not hunters, a command ship. Lyra stood by the entrance of the command chamber, her small hands gripping the edge of the console. She didn't blink, she didn't tremble. The light from her skin pulsed steadily. She was no longer just a child. Something inside her had awakened. Josh watched her from behind, his chest tight. You're sure they'll find us? Yes, Lyra said softly. They've stopped hiding. They're bringing their final weapon. Vela turned from her terminal. Her face was pale. They're deploying a memory erasure pulse. Once activated, it will erase all signs of us data, footage, even ship logs. The galaxy will forget. This place and everyone in it. Josh clenched his jaw. We have to stop them. Lyra walked to the center of the room and raised both hands. Symbols began to glow in the air, blue trails of energy moving like smoke. Machines around her powered up, even ones that hadn't worked in decades. The walls vibrated with life. She's linking with the station, Vela whispered. She's becoming its core. The mountain station had once been a Xanthary research outpost, long abandoned, but Lyra was waking it up. Suddenly, through the stone walls, a deep humming voice rang in their heads. Surrender the hybrid, or be deleted. Lyra's eyes glowed bright gold. Josh stepped in front of her. You want her? You'll have to go through me. And then the mountain opened. The stone split, revealing the sky where the massive command ship hovered like a city in the clouds. Lights blinked. Weapons powered up. But Lyra raised her hands again. This time, her voice wasn't a child's. It was something far more ancient, more powerful. Enough, she said, and the word echoed through stone and air like thunder. A beam of light shot from the station, striking the ship. It didn't destroy it. It didn't burn it. It spoke to it. The ship froze. Inside the command deck, Xanthary. Generals screamed, but their controls no longer listened. One by one, systems failed. Their minds clouded with memories not their own. Visions of Earth, of human laughter, of love, of a child with glowing eyes who did not beg to live, but chose to protect. The ship turned away. The Xanthary fleet, undefeated for generations, retreated without a shot fired. They were afraid not of war, but of what Lyra meant. Josh collapsed to his knees, breathless. Vela held him up. Lyra stood silent in the golden light, her skin dimming back to soft silver. It's over? Josh asked. Lyra nodded. For now. Vela walked to her daughter and wrapped her in her arms. You've changed everything. Josh watched them. He had raised this child, protected her, loved her. And now she had saved them all. He stepped outside into the open air. The sky was clearing, stars returning. Peace for the first time. In over a year felt real. Vela joined him. She's not just a child anymore, Josh nodded. She's a future they never wanted, but one we needed. And so, on a lonely mountain far from Earth, a mechanic, a rebel mother, and a girl, born from two worlds, stood together, not just survivors, but the beginning of something greater, something the universe could never erase.